Affordability is one of the biggest barriers for Aussies trying to get a foothold in the real estate market. But if you do your homework, the experts say there are still some brilliant buys.
So where do you find Australia's hottest property? Here are the top locations to watch. Topping the hotspot list is St Leonard's in Launceston, Tasmania, where prices are set to rise by 7.5%. Next is Bangor in the New South Wales Sutherland Shire, where homes are tipped to climb an average of $76,000 in value. Coming in at number 3 is another New South Wales location. Crestwood, near the ACT border, is tipped to grow by 7.3%. In South Australia, the Adelaide suburb of Birkenhead has taken out hotspot number 4. Home prices there are expected to increase by around $29,000. And rounding out the top 5 is Heathcote in southern Sydney, where properties are forecast to grow by $60,000 over the next year. A state-by-state breakdown shows that capital cities reign supreme. The top 5 suburbs for New South Wales all hail from Sydney, while in the ACT, the hottest suburbs are in Canberra. In Queensland, 4 out of 5 locations can be found in Brisbane. The top 5 in Victoria are all Melbourne suburbs. Adelaide is where you'll find the top 5 suburbs in South Australia, while in Tasmania, the top picks are spread across Launceston and Hobart. No suburbs in WA or the Northern Territory made the list.
Select Residential Property Research Group has pulled together the locations to watch, and Jeremy Shepherd joins us now. Morning to you. How did you come up with this list, and how well have these suburbs performed historically?
Well, it's actually the historic performance of these markets that helps us make the forecast, Nat. What we've done is based our forecasts on supply and demand. That age-old law of supply and demand says where demand exceeds supply, you're going to see prices rise. So over the last 10 years, we've been scoring property markets around Australia by their demand to supply ratio, and we've seen how they've performed according to that ratio, and it's that which our forecast is based on.
Okay. Sydney went through a dip for a couple of years and now has sort of almost had a V-shaped recovery. Which are the suburbs there that are most likely to do the best, and will Sydney keep rising?
Yeah, a great question. It seems to be the northern beaches, the Sutherland Shire and some of the eastern suburbs. And it's really a case, one of the common threads with these suburbs is they have come back from that peak by 20%, even more than that. So buyers who were priced out of the market not so long ago are now looking at these current values and thinking, well, this is good value for money. And at the same time, there's been an easing of lending criteria and interest rates have dropped as well. So you get a couple of those factors together, and it's brought everyone back into the market.
So is Sydney going to keep going up?
I think it'll probably just come back to the peak, maybe a little beyond. And of course, this is dependent on which suburb we're talking about. Some of these suburbs haven't really come back much at all. But I wouldn't expect this is the next Sydney boom. It's far too soon for that.
Right. So
I think that the property prices are still relatively unaffordable, and there might be a flat period.
I must admit, I'm surprised you don't have a Perth suburb in there, because a couple of property guru mates of mine have said, look, Perth has been depressed for so long, it looks really cheap, and there's a bit of balance coming in to demand and supply there.
Yeah, well, that's the point. It has come back to balance, and these markets in the top 20 are in a state of imbalance where demand really exceeds supply. But Koshi, I keep watching the Perth market as well, and hoping for that day where I see some positive data. And I don't think it's too far away. If you are an early bird, you would be acting now, and in those affluent areas of Perth.
There you go.
Okay.
A lot of sandgropers want to hear that.
Yeah, too.
Boy, do they.
They've been depressed for a few years on property. Mate, thank you very much for that. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, guys.
Fascinating, isn't it?